how do past experiences affect how you experience life today? Today on Geek Devotions, we're going to talk about that, and we're also going to be taking a look at Tatsu from Way of the Househusband and how his life experiences adjusted the way he sees things today. Hello, Devoted Geeks. Welcome to Geek Devotions, a show from Devoted Geeks who are devoted to letting you know that you are loved. I'm Dallas. I'm so glad you hit the play button today. If you're new to our show, we take geek pop culture items like movies, video games, comic books, and anime, and we use it to let people know that they're loved. So if you don't watch past this moment at all, know this. We love you. We care about you. There is a plan and a purpose for your life. Please do not give up. This is week 3 of Anime April, and I am so excited about it, guys, because today we're talking about a particular anime that Celeste and I watched on a whim. It's a new anime that just came out this past week on Netflix called Way of the Househusband, which is based off of a manga of the same title, and it's really fascinating. If you want to know my thoughts on the series on Netflix, check out our website, geekdevotions.com. There'll be a link in the description down below for the article where I give a quick little review and my thoughts on the series. But what I want to talk about today, though, is the character Tatsu. See, if you're new to the series, then what happens is Tatsu used to be a very, very scary individual in the Yakuza, which is basically kind of a Japanese mafia, if you will. And, like, very scary individual. And somewhere down along the line, after getting out of prison, he falls in love with a woman. And he changes his life. He changes the direction of what he's doing and becomes a house husband. That's right. Big scary Yakuza, now big scary house husband. And it's a fascinating show because you watch him go through life. Everything is filtered through the lens of his past life as a Yakuza. The intensity that he brings to every situation, from mundane things such as cleaning the house to making food to even shopping, is taken through the lens of his life as a Yakuza. And you know what? It helps. It's really successful for him. There's another character in the series who knows him from his previous life, and he's kind of scared of him because, again, this used to be the scariest guy. And he wants to learn from him. He wants to become a big bad Yakuza member himself. And he thinks Tatsu could help him, but Tatsu's like, I've given up that life. But this guy recognizes something. Perhaps the way of the Yakuza isn't so different from the way of the house husband. There are life lessons that he learned as a Yakuza member that, while not good, while what he did wasn't good, there were fundamental things that were put in place. It makes him a really great house husband. Like, he's really good at this thing of being a house husband, of taking care of the house, of cooking, of cleaning, of taking care of his bride. And as these things translate, it's actually a really interesting story that plays out in his life. There's some people who look at their past life as young individuals, as teenagers and kids, or maybe young 20s, depending on how old you are. And they go, man, like, I was wasting my time. Maybe you didn't necessarily do anything bad. You weren't necessarily a member of the Yakuza, but maybe you weren't being as productive as you thought you should be. And you're wondering, what's the point? And there are some people who are super dismissive of even the youth of other people. But understand that the things that they're learning and that they're doing then, the things that you learned and did then yourself, affect who you are today and can be used today to do some great things, to do some amazing things for the kingdom of God, for your community, and for your family. In the book of Samuel, we see the story of a young man named David, who, when you look at him, he seems like the lowest rung of all the people. Like there's nothing special about him. He's the youngest member of his family, and I mean, he takes care of sheep. And like, that was literally his job as a young man. So he'd sit there out in the field, take care of sheep. Now, to be fair, watching sheep is a big deal. My man who literally had to carry a big stick and speak softly at the same time, because he had to speak softly to his sheep and direct them and be tender, but he had to carry a big stick to smack away any predators that came up. He had a slingshot that he had to use to literally dismantle enemy animals that would go after his sheep. Now, on the surface, you're like, okay, he's a shepherd boy. Great. Whoopity-doo. How does his past experiences help in the future? Well, right off the bat, he goes to war as a young man. There's a giant who's facing down the people of Israel and calling them out, and all the adults are scared. And here comes David. And they try to give David all the stuff that they think he should have, but he's like, you know what? I got a little bit of experience with a few things. I have some tools that I've developed as a young man, as a much younger man, I think can help. And he goes out there and he grabs a slingshot, grabs a couple rocks and grabs a slingshot like he did 1,000 times before, and one shot took out the giant. Skills he developed as a young man helped him to save a nation as a young man. But as you read through Samuel, you'll realize that the things that David did as a young man shaped the way that he responded and the way he saw things throughout his life moving forward. And the same thing takes place today. For me, growing up as a young man, went through some interesting experiences, and I saw things that I wish I didn't see. I experienced things I wish I had not experienced. But today, they shape the way I see things. Today, instead of seeing things in one light, now I see people with compassion and with love. Instead of just being an angry individual, I've made the choice to use my past experience to go, you know what? We can be better. We can do better. And it's literally my past, the things that I saw, have shaped the way I do things today. Because I dabbled around with some photoshopping and some video editing as a young man, and I'm now doing this here. What's the point? Your past, good, bad, or indifferent, has created a path for you. Your choice is to pick up which tools you're going to use from that path to craft a new path towards what God has for you. And it's not easy sometimes. It's difficult. You're going, well, how do I sift through some of this stuff? And maybe you go a little too far. I have a dear friend of mine who, from a past life where he had to be a little bit tougher and had to be a little more, I don't know what the word is for it, but just a little stronger in certain areas. At times, he oversteps a few things. He goes a little too far with his instruction, but he's humble enough to go, I've messed up. And he backs up, he apologizes, and keeps moving forward. Our past experiences can be used to do great things. It's your choice to decide how you're going to do it. So my question of the week for you guys is this. The anime that we're talking about, Way of the Househusband on Netflix, it's based off a manga, and it was really interesting how they took the story of a hardened criminal and put him in this mundane situation. So here's the question. Just for fun, what would you like to see that story turn into? Like, instead of him becoming a house husband, what mundane job would you love to have seen him step into and become? I just think that'd be a fun theory to talk about. Also, I want you guys to do me a favor, leave a comment down below and leave your story. Let us know how your past has affected how you're doing things today, because it could encourage somebody. There could be people who had a very similar past as you, and they're like, what good is this? And your story could challenge them and encourage them and help them to take their next step towards what God has for them. I also want to encourage you guys might notice this cool little shirt, Mountain Nerds. These are our friends of ours. They have a great podcast called Mountain Nerds. I want you guys to go check out. There'll be a link in the description down below to check out their podcast, their Twitch channel, and to get one of these really nifty looking shirts they have here. While we're talking about shirts, we do have our Anime April shirts up on our store today. I want to encourage you to go check that out, geekdevotions.com. For those, check out our shirts, sure. But check out some devotions. We have devotions, we have reviews, all kinds of stuff. This past week, we had an article come out by our friend Danny from Geeks Under Grace explaining why he loves My Hero Academia. Later this week, we have another article coming out from our friend John explaining why he has a certain love for his personal favorite anime. So if you want all that information, you want to check all that out, geekdevotions.com. Don't forget to connect with us on all of our social media, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Look for Geek Devotions. And finally, last thing is simply this. Don't forget we love you guys. We care about you a lot. Stay devoted. Peace and love.